Society has lied to you. The media, the movies, and the culture have spent decades convincing you that your value as a man expires the moment you cross the threshold of 50. They tell you that you are invisible. They tell you that desire belongs to the young, the reckless, and the physically perfect. They are wrong. In fact, they are terrified of the truth. The truth is that a man over 60 who has mastered his internal world holds a specific psychological key that unlocks a woman's deepest biological need, a need that no 20-year-old boy can fulfill. We are not talking about money. We are not talking about buying affection. We are talking about a gravitational pull that is hardwired into the female brain through thousands of years of evolution. Most men your age are wasting this power. They are trying to act young, or worse, they have given up. Today, we are going to dismantle the myth of age. We are going to hand you the blueprint to becoming the anchor in a chaotic world. If you are ready to stop being invisible and start being irresistible by leveraging the unfair advantage of your experience, you need to pay close attention. This is not dating advice. This is psychological warfare against mediocrity. If you want to understand the raw reality of female nature and your place in it, make sure you are subscribed. This is the education you should have received 40 years ago. Let's begin. To understand why women are drawn to men over 60, you must first understand the safety-arousal paradox. In her 20s, a woman is often driven by genetic volatility. She chases the thrill, the danger, and the unpredictability of younger men because her biology is prioritizing genetic variance. However, female psychology is not static. It matures. As a woman seeks genuine connection, her subconscious priorities shift aggressively from excitement to containment. The modern world is chaotic. It is full of anxiety, uncertainty, and fragile men who crumble under pressure. A man in his 30s or 40s is often still fighting to prove himself. He is anxious about his career, his status, and his future. A woman feels this anxiety. It vibrates off him. But a man over 60 who has done the work, he has already fought his wars. He has survived the storms. This is the first secret. The absence of anxiety is an aphrodisiac. When a woman interacts with a man over 60 who is grounded, she experiences a drop in her own cortisol levels. This is physiological. Your presence acts as a nervous system regulator for her. While younger men are frantic energy sources, you are the grounding wire. Do not mistake this for being boring. There is a massive difference between being passive and being stable. When you are 60, you have a historical context that younger men lack. You know that this too shall pass. When she is spinning out of control emotionally, or when life throws a curveball, you do not panic. You look at it with the eyes of a man who has seen worse. This creates a vacuum of safety. Women do not just want to be loved, they want to be safe. If you can project the energy of an unshakable rock, you bypass her logical brain and speak directly to her evolutionary survival instincts. She doesn't just want you, she needs you to feel calm. Most men waste this by acting insecure or trying to compete with younger men on energy. Don't compete on energy, compete on stability. You will win every time. The second major psychological trigger is non-reactivity. This is the defining trait of the king archetype. Younger men, the princes, are reactive. If a woman cancels a date, they get angry. If she tests them, they get defensive. If she looks at another man, they get jealous. They are slaves to their emotions and, by extension, slaves to her validation. This is repulsive to a high-value woman because it signals that the man is easily manipulated. A man over 60 has the unique capacity for total emotional autonomy. This is what we call the stoic gap, the space between the stimulus and your response. When a woman tests you, and she will test you regardless of age, she is checking to see if you are solid. If she acts bratty or cold or distant, and you crumble or beg for attention, you prove that you are just an old boy. But if you remain unbothered, if you maintain your amusement and your frame, you become a riddle she must solve. Consider the power of no. A man who has lived 6 decades knows the value of his time. He is not desperate. If a younger man is treated poorly, he tolerates it because he is afraid of losing the opportunity. A man over 60 knows that his dignity is worth more than her approval. When you are willing to walk away, you become the prize. This is where most older men fail. They feel lucky to be noticed by a younger or attractive woman, so they become overly accommodating. They become simps with grey hair. You must do the opposite. You must enforce boundaries with the calmness of a CEO. When you do not react to her drama, you force her to step up to your level of maturity. You are silently communicating. I have built a kingdom of peace. You are welcome to enter, but you are not allowed to bring chaos. This boundary is incredibly attractive. It signals that you are the leader of your own reality. A woman cannot respect a man she can control. By being non-reactive, you prove you are uncontrollable. You are not looking for a mother or a nurse. You are looking for a companion. And that distinction makes you dangerous in the dating market. The third psychological lever is what evolutionary biologists call resource efficiency. But in the modern dating world, we call it competence porn. There is nothing drier than a man who panics when a problem arises. Conversely, there is nothing more biologically stimulating to a woman than a man who solves complex problems with minimal effort. This is where your 60 years on this planet become your deadliest weapon. Younger men are often in the acquisition phase. They are trying to figure out how the world works. When a flat tire happens, when a reservation is lost, when a crisis hits, they are often figuring it out for the first time. They expend a lot of nervous energy. They run around, they complain, they ask for help. You, however, are in the mastery phase. You have changed tires, fixed leaks, managed payrolls, buried parents, and navigated recessions. When a problem arises, you do not need to think. You simply access your database of experience and execute the solution. This is the key. Do not ask her what to do. Lead. A common mistake older men make is deferring to the woman to seem modern or agreeable. They ask, "Where do you want to eat?" Or, "What should we do about this?" Stop that immediately. Indecision is a creativity killer. When you take the burden of decision-making off her shoulders, you are giving her a psychological gift. You are saying, "I know the terrain, follow me." This applies to everything from planning a date to handling a rude waiter. A young man might get into a shouting match. High effort, low status. A man of your caliber handles it with a quiet word to the manager and a subtle look. Low effort, high status. Women are watching this efficiency. They are wired to seek a mate who can navigate the environment with the least amount of friction. Your competence proves that you can protect her not just from physical threats, but from the logistical headaches of life. You are the fixer. Embrace that role. Do not explain how you fixed it. Just fix it and pour the wine. The mystery of your competence is part of the allure. Now we must discuss the auditory channel. As men age, a physiological change often occurs. The voice deepens, the cadence slows, and the resonance increases. This is a biological signal of high testosterone and maturity. However, most men over 60 talk too much. They talk out of nervousness, or worse, they talk to relive the glory days. Here is the hard truth. If you're trying to impress her with stories of what you did in 1995, you have already lost. Nostalgia is the enemy of attraction. Attraction happens in the present. Instead of filling the air with words to prove you are still relevant, you must master the pregnant pause. Young men are terrified of silence. In a conversation, if there is a 3-second gap, a young man panics and says something stupid to fill the void. He reveals his insecurity. He needs the feedback loop. You must be comfortable in the silence. When she finishes speaking, do not answer immediately. Wait 2 seconds. Look at her. Let the silence hang in the air. This does 2 things. First, it shows you are processing her words, which makes her feel deeply heard, a rarity in the age of smartphones and short attention spans. Second, it creates tension. Sexual tension cannot exist without space. By holding the silence, you are pulling her into your frame. You are forcing her to wonder, what is he thinking? Furthermore, you must strip the apology out of your voice. Many older men subconsciously adopt a softer, pleading tone because they feel grateful for the company. They end sentences with an upward inflection, like a question. Eliminate this. Speak in statements. Speak with a downward inflection. We are talking about vocal gravitas. Your words should be heavy. They should cost something. Because you have lived longer, your words should carry more weight than a 20-year-old's. If you chatter like a teenager, you break the illusion of the king. But if you speak only when necessary, and with absolute conviction, she will hang on every word. You're not just making conversation, you're dispensing wisdom. Be the mountain, not the wind. The wind howls and changes direction constantly. The mountain is silent and immovable. Which one do you think she wants to lean on? Let us be brutally honest about visuals. There is a profound difference between growing old and rotting. Most men over 60 simply give up on their aesthetic. They wear clothes that are 2 sizes too big to hide a belly. They wear shoes that are purely functional but hideous, and they stop visiting the barber because who cares? She cares, and more importantly, you should care. The psychological trigger here is called high-status maintenance. When a woman sees a man over 60 who is well-groomed, sharp, and stylish, her brain does not just see good clothes, It sees discipline, it sees self-respect, it sees a man who has not let the world defeat him. You must stop trying to look young. This is where the failure happens. Dyeing your hair jet black, wearing hoodies, or dressing like a teenager triggers the uncanny valley effect. It looks unnatural and desperate. It screams insecurity. Instead, you must aim for the silver fox archetype. This relies on the psychology of distinction. Gray hair is not a flaw, it is a texture of authority, if it is cut sharp. Wrinkles are not damage, they are a map of your survival, if your skin looks taken care of. Focus on the silhouette. As testosterone drops, muscle mass decreases. If you wear baggy clothes, you look frail. You must wear clothes that structure your body. A tailored jacket builds shoulders where they might have faded. A crisp collar frames the face. This is architectural engineering for your presence. And we must talk about tactile psychology. Women are tactile creatures. They want to touch. Younger men often wear cheap synthetic fabrics. A man of your status should be wearing textures that invite contact. Cashmere, wool, leather, silk. When she hugs you or touches your arm, she should feel quality. This sends a subliminal message. I am a man of substance. If you present yourself as a man who has given up on his reflection, she will assume you have given up on life. But if you present yourself as a curated masterpiece, you trigger the curator instinct in her. She wants to be part of that exclusive collection. Now we enter the most sensitive territory: intimacy. This is the source of the greatest anxiety for men over 60. You worry about stamina, you worry about hardness, you worry about competing with the 20-year-old version of yourself. Stop competing, you are playing the wrong game. Young men treat sex like a sport. It is about friction, speed, and ego validation. Did I perform? Did I finish? It is frantic. For a woman, this can be exciting, but it is often emotionally hollow. The superpower of the man over 60 is the slow burn. Female sexuality is not a light switch. It is a dial. It requires time to heat up. Young men often rush this because they lack impulse control. You, however, have the patience of a sniper. You understand that the most erotic organ in the human body is the brain. Because you are no longer driven by the frantic, explosive urge of youth, you can focus on sensuality and presence. You can take the time to explore her body in a way a younger man simply won't. You can focus on her pleasure without the desperate need to get to the finish line immediately. This removes performance anxiety. When you shift your goal from orgasm to connection, the pressure vanishes. And ironically, when the pressure vanishes, the performance often returns. Psychologically, a woman feels safer exploring her own sexuality with an older man because he is unshockable. You have seen it all. You are not going to giggle, you are not going to judge, and you are not going to rush. This creates a sexual safe container. In this container, she can let go of her inhibitions. Furthermore, do not underestimate the power of dominance through experience. You know how to touch, you know where to touch, you know the rhythm. While the prince is fumbling with the mechanics, the king is conducting the orchestra. Tell her what to do. Use your voice. A deep, authoritative voice in the bedroom is often more potent than physical gymnastics. If you own your age and your experience, you transform from an old man into a master. And every woman, deep in her biological coding, wants to be with a master. There is a war on masculinity in the modern world. Younger men are confused. They are told that chivalry is sexist, that opening doors is demeaning, or that they should split the bill to empower women. As a result, they have stopped protecting. They have become passive. This is your greatest opportunity. A man over 60 remembers a time when protecting a woman was not a political statement. It was a duty. But you must execute this correctly. This is not about treating her like a child who cannot tie her own shoes. It is about situational awareness and the perimeter. Women are physically vulnerable. They live with a low-level background noise of fear of walking alone at night, fear of strangers, fear of aggression. When she is with you, that fear should vanish. This happens through microactions that you likely do without thinking, but which she notices immediately. Walking on the street side of the sidewalk, guiding her by the small of her back through a crowded room, scanning the room when you enter a restaurant, the watchman instinct, checking that she got into her house safely before you drive away. These are not just nice gestures. These are primal signals of resource guarding. You are signaling to the world and to her subconscious that she is under your protection. You are claiming the space around her. Younger men are often on their phones, oblivious to the environment. When you are hyper-aware, you signal competence. You trigger the feeling of being precious. A woman who feels precious will treat you like a king, but be careful, do not be overbearing. It must be effortless. It must look like you are doing it because it is who you are, not because you are trying to impress her. It is the difference between a bodyguard and a servant. Be the bodyguard. We have arrived at the most dangerous trap for men over 60, the wallet. Society tells you that if you are older, you must pay for attention. You see it everywhere. Older men buying expensive dinners, designer bags, and vacations for women who clearly do not respect them. This is the sugar daddy dynamic, and it is fatal to genuine attraction. If you lead with your wallet, you are telling her that your money is the most interesting thing about you. You are actively devaluing your personality, your wisdom, and your masculinity. You are turning yourself into an ATM. An ATM gets used, it does not get loved. However, being stingy is equally repulsive. It signals scarcity and fear, traits of a weak man. So how do you navigate this? You must master benevolent leadership. The king provides because he has an abundance, not because he is buying a service. The distinction lies in expectation. The weak man pays and expects. I bought you dinner, now you owe me affection, sex, time. This is transactional. It breeds resentment. The king pays and leads. I'm taking us here because I want to enjoy this experience and I am bringing you along for the ride. Focus your resources on experiences, not objects. Do not buy her a Gucci bag on the third date. That is a bribe. Instead, take her to a jazz club, a vineyard, a gallery opening. Pay for the shared reality. When you invest in experiences, you are building a memory where you are the central character. When you buy an object, the object becomes the focus. Furthermore, you must test her. Early in the interaction, do something simple. A coffee walk, a park visit. Can she be happy with you without the expensive backdrop? If she seems bored or annoyed that you aren't at a five-star restaurant, cut her loose immediately. She is a parasite, not a partner. Your financial stability is a massive advantage, but it should be the background radiation, not the spotlight. It should be felt as a safety net, not waved around like a flag. Let her wonder how much you have. Let her see the quality of your life, not the balance of your bank account. Mystery is safer than disclosure. We must discuss the fundamental difference in operating systems. Men generally operate on logic. Women generally operate on emotion. Younger men try to combat female emotion with logic. This is like trying to put out a fire with a calculator. It doesn't work. It only makes the fire bigger. When a woman is emotional, angry, sad, irrational, or chaotic, she is not looking for a solution. She is looking for containment. A man over 60 has a distinct advantage here: perspective. You have seen enough of life to know that feelings are temporary. When she is spiraling, the prince, the younger man, gets anxious. He thinks, how do I fix this? Did I do something wrong? How do I make her stop? He enters her chaos. The king stays outside the chaos. This is the lighthouse strategy. The lighthouse does not run into the ocean to save the ship. It stands firm on the rock and shines a light. When she is emotional, you do not argue. You do not get defensive. You do not try to logic her out of it. You simply hold your ground. You use phrases like, I can see you are upset. Come here, physical grounding. We will figure it out. You must understand that her chaos is often a subconscious test. She is shaking the fence to see if the post is loose. If you remain calm, if you do not let her mood dictate your mood, she feels an immense wave of relief. She thinks, he is stronger than my emotions. He is safe. Most men your age are too tired to deal with this, so they withdraw or become grumpy. Do not withdraw. Stand there, look her in the eye. Let her storm break against your chest. Once she realizes she cannot move you, she will surrender to you. And that surrender is the basis of deep intimacy. Finally, we arrive at the most sophisticated tool in your arsenal, the mentor frame. There is a biological reason why women are attracted to competence and wisdom. It is the desire to be led, not just physically, but intellectually. A younger man might be able to talk about pop culture, video games, or the latest trends. But you understand how the world works. You must leverage your intellect. This is not about lecturing her. Nobody likes a bore. This is about world expansion. When you speak to her, do not just exchange information. Teach her something. Show her a perspective she hasn't considered. Whether it is about art, business, psychology, or history, you have a database of knowledge that she lacks. But here is the secret. Challenge her. Most men are so desperate for approval that they agree with everything a beautiful woman says. She says, I think capitalism is evil. The weak man says, yeah, totally, even if he disagrees. The king says, that's an interesting view, but have you considered X, Y, and Z? When you gently but firmly challenge her intellect, you demonstrate high status. You are telling her, I am not intimidated by your beauty. I value the truth more than your approval. This is intoxicating. It forces her to seek your validation. She starts trying to impress you. She wants to prove she is smart enough to hang with you. You are not looking for a student, you are looking for an equal. But you are an equal with a head start. Use that head start. Introduce her to better music, better wine, better books, better ideas. Be the gateway to a higher level of existence. If she associates being with you with becoming a better version of herself, she will never leave. You become her growth strategy, and nobody walks away from their own growth. We have covered the biology, the psychology, and the strategy. Now we must address the lie that brought you here. The world wants you to believe that you are the invisible man. They want you to believe that because you have gray hair, because you move a little slower, or because you don't understand TikTok, you are obsolete. They want you to step aside and make room for the boys. Do not step aside. The reality is that the modern dating market is flooded with boys. It is flooded with uncertainty, anxiety, weakness, and fragility. Women are drowning in a sea of princes who need to be mothered, validated, and managed. They are starving for a king. They are starving for a man who does not need them, but chooses them. A man who is not shaken by the storm, but commands it. A man who does not buy affection, but commands respect. A man who does not compete for attention, but attracts it through the sheer gravity of his presence. You have spent 60 years building that gravity. You have survived heartbreaks, failures, and victories that a 20-year-old cannot even imagine. That scar tissue is not ugly, it is armor. That silence is not emptiness, it is depth. But you have a choice. You can continue to play the victim. You can continue to chase youth, wearing clothes that don't fit and laughing at jokes you don't find funny, trying to convince the world you are still 25. If you do that, you will fail. You will be a caricature. Or you can embrace the power of the silver fox. You can lean into your age. You can accept that you are in the autumn of your life and realize that autumn is the season of harvest. It is the season of abundance. When you walk into a room tomorrow, hold your head high. Speak less. Listen more. Look her in the eye and do not look away. Be the anchor. Be the mentor. Be the protector. The moment you stop apologizing for your age is the moment you become dangerous. The moment you realize that your experience is the most valuable currency on earth is the moment the world starts coming to you. Women do not resist men over 60. They resist men who have given up. Do not give up. The throne is empty. Sit on it. If this analysis woke something up inside you, if you realize that you have been playing the game with one hand tied behind your back, then your education is not finished. We have only scratched the surface of female psychology. The next step is understanding the dark triad. How to identify if a woman is using you, and how to spot the red flags that could destroy your life in retirement. You cannot afford to make mistakes now. You do not have time to waste on the wrong woman. If you want the truth that polite society refuses to tell you, click the subscribe button now. Turn on notifications. Do not miss the next briefing. We are building a brotherhood of men who refuse to go quietly into the night. Welcome to the resurgence.